Yes, people, Paulius Paulius here, making a comeback on YouTube. So today I'm going to be telling you how social media ruined my newbie gains. So, I've been lifting for about 3.5 years now, and I've spent most of it in a deficit, and I would chalk that up to about two major things, and that will be number one, social media, and number two, being a tubby kid before. So, a combination of both of those essentially led to disaster, and disaster being body dysmorphia. And pretty much, when I was tubbier, I lost a bunch of weight, and because I didn't look like the people on social media, who are either genetic outliers, people in incredible lighting and really good angles, or people on PEDs using steroids, I just didn't look like them. So obviously that caused me to think that I look bad, when in reality I look normal, or decent. But you just can't see that because you're telling yourself this narrative, plus you're fat before. So one of the most important things that I did naturally, and this was actually pretty recently, is unfollowed a lot of the people who I follow who are on PEDs, because realistically I don't need to be seeing that. That doesn't need to be fed into my subconscious, and essentially I'll be comparing myself to people that first of all don't actually look like that, and then also people that are just outliers, and it just makes no sense. If you walk around in a shop, you're not going to be seeing what you see on social media, and that's just a fact. Another thing I learned through life experience that has really helped me with weight gain is essentially learning that people don't really care how lean you are, and when you're in the fitness space, it's kind of one of the most important things, it seems, especially on social media. But again, people don't actually care, and from my experience, I've gotten more compliments when I'm filling out a shirt and I'm slightly bulkier than I have when I'm diced, because most of the time you're wearing a shirt. How often are you not wearing a shirt? You see yourself topless more than anyone else, but most of the time people see you wearing clothes. So having a little bit of extra body fat actually might work to your benefit when it comes to aesthetics. Another thing that really worked for me was not looking in the mirror so much. So this was another thing that kind of kept me in a deficit for a long time, and essentially I was too hyper-focused on what I looked like, and it took a lot of energy and attention from the stuff that's actually important. So one thing, if you have this problem, that I would suggest you do is every time you feel the urge to look into a mirror, just look away or don't look. And the more often you do that, the more you're reprogramming your habits in order to essentially make it more likely that when you walk past a mirror, you don't look at your reflection. If you look all the time, then you're going to start seeing problems that aren't there. And once you start putting more energy into the process instead of the outcome, the actual outcome inevitably will get better. And it's weird, it's backwards, but that's how it works. And the biggest thing that led to me just finally saying, right, I just kind of need a bulk and kind of need to put on some body fat, and took me out of this negative loop of trying to stay lean, was first of all some great resources like Natural Hypertrophy, Jeffrey Verity Schofield and Omar Isuf, some natural lifters who've been in the game for a long time. They've all been comfortable putting on a bit of body fat, and they've got incredible physiques, and you don't really see that many natural lifters who have stayed lean the entire time and have a decent amount of muscle. It's quite rare, and usually it's people who started really skinny, and in my case that's not for me. But essentially I was spinning my wheels trying to stay lean, and I couldn't make gains. And to begin with, pretty much anyone can make gains doing whatever, and for a long while I was able to stay lean and make progress in the gym, but after a while I hit some plateaus. It just wasn't working anymore, so I realized I needed to actually add in some extra food. And that's one variable that's incredibly important when it comes to gaining mass, because you can't gain unless you're in a surplus, or at least you can't do it effectively, especially if you've been training for a long while. And I'm getting to that point where I've realized that it's okay to put on a bit of weight. And yeah, I've been fighting my body's natural tendency for such a long time, and my body's natural tendency is to want to put on a little bit of extra weight. And now that I've actually leaned into that, I realize that once I get to peak bulk, my body will actually want to lose fat. It's almost like I'm working with nature. So right now my body wants to put weight on, but eventually whilst I keep gaining weight, there's going to come a point where my appetite decreases and the fat will actually peel off for a while and I can body recomp from that higher body fat. But right now, I'm just going with the flow. I'm making gains, I feel great, and obviously the extra food freedom is a massive plus because I missed out on a lot of social things in the past just trying to stay lean, and for what? I'm not making memories to try and stay lean and I'm not making gains. It's a recipe for disaster. Anyways, that is me. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome, subscribe, like and all that jazz, and I'll see you in a bit.